Hey guys, it's Plumberhammer. So, went ahead and did the unboxing. I'll get that video put up shortly. And then I'm going to start working on this video. So, what I wanted to discuss was what my channel is right now and what I would like it to be in the future. So, I think the first thing to do is to take stock of what I have right now. And what I have right now is a studio in my house. It's one of our guest bedrooms, and it was graciously turned over to me by my lovely girlfriend who I own this house with. She knew I was into Warhammer when we bought the house, and she knew that it would take up a lot of space. So we painted this room green. I affectionately call it the green room. I almost called the channel Green Room Wargaming. You notice the back wall is a deep avocado green, or the side wall's avocado green. Either way, green's my favorite color. I have a Salamanders chapter. Big surprise. Got all the essentials to a Salamanders chapter. I've got all the basics. I have intercessors. I had the Stern Guard veterans with the combi flamers, but it's no longer relevant in 10th edition. Now combi weapons are just anti-infantry 4. So I do have 10 of the new intercessor flamer guys, the pyre blaster dudes. So they'll most likely be getting painted as salamanders. But getting off a little bit, where the channel is right now. Right now, I'm just trying to put out content that will hopefully be interesting. I've been doing a lot of build videos. Every time I purchase something off eBay, I try to open it for you guys just so that you can see these armies grow. Eventually I'll do another tour of the green room. I've got shelves all the way around, not just the ones that you've seen behind me in the past. Currently those shelves hold my Imperial Guard, all of my Tyranids that need to be painted, my Dark Angels, my Sisters, and then in the far distant future, my Chaos Space Marines. They're up on the top shelf. Actually, there's a shelf above that that has my White Scars. And directly behind me, on that top shelf, are my Custodes. So, I started playing Warhammer in 2020, right before COVID hit. I had a group that was really into Kill Team. And Kill Team first edition, Kill Team 1.0, was like a super miniature version of Warhammer. For those of you that are only familiar with Kill Team 2.0, that is like its own game. And it's really fun. I enjoy Kill Team 2.0. When we were playing Kill Team 1.0, it really taught you a lot of the rules of Warhammer because it played a lot like 40k. Just on a teeny tiny scale and moving one model at a time. Kind of like in Kill Team 2.0. But the wounding system was a lot more similar in 1.0. So, played with those guys. Still play with those guys. Then COVID hit. And everybody reclused back into their houses. And I I did as well. And I started building armies. When I started playing Kill Team, I built a Thousand Suns army. And then I continued building it. And I continued building it. And eventually I had most of the essentials of a Thousand Suns army. I still have a lot of things that I'd like to have. I currently don't have any rhinos for my Thousand Suns. I've got lots of sorcerers. I started playing, 2020 was like right at the end of 8th edition. So Zangors were actually pretty good. So I have a ton of Zangors. And I still really like them. They're really cool models. I think I learned a lot of cool painting techniques when I was painting my Zangors. A lot of my rubric Marines, I really cut my teeth on painting, especially their helmets with their Egyptian crests on top. That really taught me a lot about brush accuracy and painting all that blue and gold on their crests. So I started to get to the point where my Thousand Suns were where I wanted them to be, and I started reading about the Blood Angels. And about that time, the Indomitus box came out. So I bought that, and I split it with one of my buddies. So he took all the Necrons, and I took all of the Primaris Marines that came in the Indomitus box. And I painted them all as Blood Angels. And then I started building Blood Angels, and building Blood Angels, and building more Blood Angels. And started making all the chapter-specific stuff for Blood Angels, the Sanguinary Guard, Sanguinary Priest, the Death Company. Man, I was so excited about Death Company. After that, I started to learn about the Sisters of Battle. And once I started building them, I absolutely fell in love. I would say Sisters of Battle are probably my favorite faction to play as. Man, they're just a blast. Every story that they show up, and they're always usually a minor part in the stories, but just the incredible zealotry that they fight with, and the way their play style fits into the game style. I mean, if you've read stories where the Sisters of Battle were involved, they pull off miracles. They die violently in the name of the Emperor. But man, they're just so cool. I've read a few of their specific stories. Love those two. But when I start building an army, I usually pull up Battlescribe and look at all of the options available for that army, and then I start trying to obtain all those options. A lot of times through eBay, a lot of times from my local gaming store, which I always try to support. I'll get the boxes as they come out. You know, all the different ways you build an army. Y'all know what you're doing. When I finished Sisters, I thought about how I didn't have a Xenos army of any kind. And at that time, Drukhari were really bad. And when armies are really bad, that's the best time to collect them. So I acquired a ton of Drukhari stuff at low prices. So I built built a Drukari army and sent a lot of it off to get painted, painted a lot of it myself, bought a lot of it already painted, and adapted that stuff to kind of fit the scheme of my army. Even had friends of mine that I'm hoping to have on the channel. They painted a bunch of my witches. So you'll see those someday. So, Drukari. After that, after I finished up my Drukari army, I started to get deeper into the Horus Heresy books. And about that time, I was starting to read a lot of the books that focus on the salamanders. And absolutely fell in love with the salamanders. I'll go over some of the characters in another video. I will do lore videos eventually. One of the friends of the channel, my buddy Nathan, is big time on lore. And he's been reading Warhammer novels since he was in high school, and he's in his mid-30s. So he is deep into the lore, and that's kind of why I want to have him on whenever I do a lot of lore stuff. But man, several of the Salamanders books, the whole bringing Vulcan back to life whenever he perished the one time with John Grammaticus taking him out, and then regretting taking him out, and then all the salamanders going through the webway, journeying back to the salamanders' home world, and bringing Vulcan back. That whole Vulcan lives. I mean, I know you all know it, but there was one guy that, as all the other salamanders were starting to give up on him, he just continued to repeat, Vulcan lives. And man, that one gets me. I wish I had better recall and I could remember his name. We'll dig into that later, and I'll have everything written down, and we can really dig into it. But I say all that to say I built a Salamander's army. After Salamanders, I started to collect some White Scars. I started to wish that there was a way to encompass all the different chapters by making a chapter that kind of like fought alongside all of them. And I started toying around with my own custom chapter that you see before you, the Wolves of Malcador. Again, I'm not going to go too much into them, but when I thought I'd be doing battle reports in 9th edition, I wanted to be able to play all the different chapters. And I didn't want to have to buy all the different units and paint all the different units and have repeats upon repeats upon repeats just to have them all painted in the proper chapter color scheme. So I started building a custom chapter, and it was about that point that my cousin in Houston decided he was going to take a break from Warhammer, just like a lot of people do. You know, there's people like me that are absolutely insane and build an army and then build another army and then build another army. And then there's guys that build one army and get really good with that one army, and then they get tired and they sell that army. And then they'll come back into Warhammer a few years later and they'll start another army and they'll build that army and they'll get good with that army, and they usually just have that one. There's all different kinds of people, and this hobby works for all of us, for however you want to play. So he decided he was getting out of it, offered to sell me his Space Wolves army, which I was ecstatic. I pulled some money together and bought the army. And I finished it up, got it all painted, got a fully painted Space Wolves army in the cabinet behind me, and started learning about Space Wolves successors and how badly things went for them. So I thought, hey, I'm just gonna have a Space Wolves successor anyway. And I came up with the Wolves of Malkador. So they are Space Wolves chapter, Space Wolves successor. I'll tell you about them later, but I built all of that. I think once I finished with that is when I started reading Gaunt's Ghosts. And while I love Space Marine books, I love Sisters of Battle books, I even love books that check in from time to time and let you know what Chaos is up to. But by far, my favorite books to read are the ones that focus on the Imperial Guard. Man, it's just, nothing is more into the nitty gritty than the books that center around the Guard. Gaunt's Ghosts, I mean, they're written by Dan Abnett, so you know they're going to be good. But even the Arminka Lesks novels are incredible. Cadia Stands, Cadian Honor, the Last Chancers novels, those were written a long time ago. And they're amazing. There's no superpowers. To me, it's like if you're watching the Avengers and, they've all got superpowers. They're all just super amazing. And then you got Black Widow and the Hawkeye. And who are they? They're just regular guys that are really good. And that's what I love about the Guard novels. They're just regular guys up against just all this superhuman nonsense. And they find a way to get it done. And I was so captivated by so many of those novels that I built a Guard army. So if you haven't noticed a pattern by now, lore is usually what inspires me to start another army. So honestly, if I hadn't been reading lore, I would probably have a lot more money in my bank account. But the lore does it every time. As I start to read about a chapter or a certain faction, I just want to build them so that I can see them in front of me. Just like any time they come out with the videos, just seeing videos of all this stuff that I'm always reading about, to see it happening in front of my face it's pretty awesome. Even the new Leviathan video that they came out with was so cool. We were all there. We all freaked out. We were all excited. Built a Guard army. Especially loved getting all the different Lehman Russes. They're so cool and so iconic. And when you have them on the table and they're still alive, you just feel like you have a chance. Hoping to get some Rogel Dorn tanks, and I feel like they'll be an even bigger anchor on the battlefield. One of my buddies has a Bane blade, and I've gotten to use it in one battle, and that was cool. And anytime I see a battle report with a Bane blade in it, it's just so awesome. They're so hard to bring down, and their firepower is just so hard to match. So, worked on the guard army for a while, got it to where I was feeling pretty good about it. It was where I wanted it to be. All these armies that I've mentioned so far, that's the other theme you may have noticed, is they're still in progress. I've still got a long way to go on a lot of this stuff because the future is battle reports, and I want them to be really good, and I want to be able to put out a battle report. And if you guys go in the comments and are like, I really want to see this unit next time, I'll be able to say, you got it, and I'll play that unit next time. I think that another theme I find myself running into is I want you to be able to learn from this channel, whether it's you like what I'm doing or you don't like what I'm doing. And if you learn something because I do something dumb, then you still learned something, and I'll feel good about it at the end of the day. So that brings us to current, where went and got a Leviathan box, and we all know that had Space Marines and Tyranids. And for those of you that are watching this video in the current time, you know that Tyranids are so hard to come by right now, because I think I pretty much am doing what everybody else is doing. Obtained a handful of NIDs because of the Leviathan box and thought, hey, these guys are cool, I'll go ahead and build an army. And now, if you search on eBay for Tyranids currently, good luck. Good luck, and expect to pay a lot. So really search, put a price in your mind that you're willing to pay, and don't go over it, because these models are worth what you think they are to an extent. And if you're diligent and you're patient, you can still not pay the miniatures stock market price, because I really do think that these models tend to behave like stocks. They go up and down in value depending on what's good and what isn't, and what's in demand and what isn't. So, like I said previously, if an army is not popular at the moment, or it's not good in the meta, that's the time to collect this army. So now's not the time to get Tyranids, but I find myself fighting to get them anyway, because, yeah, sometimes I'm not very bright and I don't follow my own advice. Currently, I'm working on Tyranids. I'm always working on Space Marines, as you've seen in my videos. I've just completed all of my Redemptor chassis, all my Primaris Dreadnoughts. Primed them today. 2 days ago, this guy was not painted, and currently he's got a decent paint job and he's not based. So that gave me a lot of confidence for these Redemptor chassis. I think I can actually get them painted pretty quick, and that makes me feel a lot better, because every time I paint something that I haven't painted before, I start stressing out and I start worrying that I won't be able to do it. But if you have that little voice in your head to just push it to the back of your mind, I think it's like anything, if you can get started, that's the hardest part. And then after that, it all just falls into place. Watch some painting videos if you're that worried about it. There's literally a painting video for every model that's out there. And Duncan Rhodes, all these guys out there, they'll teach you how to paint your model. It's nothing to sweat about. It's nothing to stress about. You can do it. I believe in you. Tyranids, Space Marines, and as you've seen in my unboxing videos, I'm trying to quickly and cheaply obtain a Gene Stealer's army, because Gene Stealers are another one that's just really cool to me. It's not often that they're very good, but that's fine by me. The way they play, just their sneakiness and all the traps, man. I may not be smart enough to play as Gene Stealers, but by golly, I'm going to try. So that's kind of the history of things so far. I mentioned in the short, while I was still in my plumbing truck picking up the mail, I wanted to discuss what my goals are. You already know, ultimately my goals are to produce battle reports. Really, really high quality battle reports. I want to have multiple angles. I want to have a dice cam. And some of that stuff I don't know how to do yet, but I am going to figure it out. I figured out how to put videos on YouTube, which for the longest time was something that I was definitely stressing over, and here we are. Just keeping my thoughts organized and talking to a camera was something that I wasn't really sure I'd be able to do, but here I am. And you know, if you just keep yourself steady and try to stay on task, I could sit here and carry on this conversation with the camera and ultimately with you guys. I know I'm talking to you. So battle reports is the distant future, and it's gonna happen because I've set my mind to it. I believe in myself, and I have always believed that if I set myself out to do something, then I'm going to do it. It's just how I've carried on for probably the past 8 years. Well, since I became a plumber. It's what makes me a good plumber, because plumbing is ultimately problem solving. When you walk into a customer's house, they have a problem most of the time. Sometimes they're doing remodels, which that is the problem. They have a bathroom that looks one way and they want it to look another way. And I am the solution. And if you work the problem and you come up with a solution and you stick to that solution, you can solve almost any problem, at least in the plumbing world. So the reason why I chose Plumberhammer over Green Room Wargaming was the familiarity. I know that the adjective hammer or noun hammer naming scheme has been done a lot, but the familiarity is there. And you know that if something is followed by the word hammer, then chances are it has a lot to do with Warhammer, either Age of Sigmar or 40k. In my case, it's 40k, obviously. And my immediate goals for the channel and why I called it that is because when I'm out there in the field being a plumber, if something happens that I feel is interesting that you guys may want to see, I'm going to film it. And YouTube shorts are nice when you're out in the field. I don't need to set up a tripod and film myself. I follow two really cool gentlemen on Instagram. One guy is called iPlummet, the letter I followed by plum it. And all of his videos, he sets up a tripod and he goes through an entire project and he time lapses it, and it's absolutely incredible. You should check him out. The other guy is called the Plumberlorian, and he also sets up a tripod, and he films more just basic service type stuff. It's really, really cool. It's usually things that, I consider pretty basic, but to the everyday observer, it's super interesting. And not to say that I don't find it super interesting, because watching another plumber solve problems is how you learn new things. And the stuff he does it perfectly, he does it quickly and clearly. His videos are so crisp, and you can see everything he's doing, you can see the problem, and then you can see him solve it. And that stuff is just awesome. And I don't see myself taking a tripod with me out in the field. I work for a master plumber. I work for a plumbing company in Central Texas, and I got the okay from him to film stuff while I'm working, but I'm just going to keep it to shorts. Shorts are good for out in the field, and they let you into my world. My channel's called Plumberhammer because I am a fan of Warhammer 40k, and plumbing is how I finance it. So that's the main reason I called the channel what I did. So for November, my goal is to get my remaining boxes of Tyranids built. I've got one box of Gene Stealers and 2 Turvagons to finish. I might do build videos on those. My Brutalis Dreadnought, the one that did not come in the box, came from the Strike Force Agastus box. I still have the Heavy Intercessors and the T-shirt cannon guys, the Desolator squads, to build out of that. I want to get those built. And I just got a box of Centurions. So my goal for November and December is to get all of my remaining boxes out of my pile of shame, and I'll try to film as much of that as I can so y'all can see the process. if you've got a pile of shame, you can defeat it. I get 2 days out of the week, Monday and Thursday, where I try to put out videos, and those are also my days to work on this stuff. So if y'all have got as much time as I do, even if you've got less time, you can get through your pile of shame. You just gotta start on it. So those are my goals for November and December. If I can get all those boxes built, get everything into a painting queue, I will feel accomplished. I'm also steadily saving up for a laptop. I think I've mentioned before in a couple of my videos, I'm using just my cell phone right now because it's all I got. So I have some vlogging cameras. I have everything I need to film battle reports right now, but I want them to be high quality, and in order to do that, I feel like I can't be editing on my cell phone. I need to be editing on a laptop. I want these to be amazing. When y'all pull up one of my battle reports, I want you to be impressed. So that's why I'm holding off right now. It's gonna happen, like I mentioned. So yeah, that's the history of Plumberhammer, and that's my goals for the future. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If y'all enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe. Shooting for 100 subscribers. Small goals, small achievable goals, and we'll get there together. Thank y'all so much again. Plumberhammer out.